The wind howls across the Oklahoma plains tonight, carrying whispers of secrets buried deep beneath red earth and limestone caves. Beneath your feet as you walk through this seemingly ordinary state lies a tapestry of mysteries that would make Indiana Jones abandon his bullwhip in sheer bewilderment. From underground cities that predate known civilizations to glyphs carved by hands we cannot identify, Oklahoma harbors enigmas that challenge everything we thought we knew about North American history. Welcome to a journey through time itself, where each stone tells a story science struggles to decode, and every cave system reveals chambers that shouldn't exist according to our current understanding of the past. Tonight, we'll explore the hidden Oklahoma, the one they don't teach in textbooks, where ancient peoples left behind puzzles so complex that modern archaeologists still scratch their heads in confusion. Deep in the Arbuckle Mountains of southeastern Oklahoma stands a monument that shouldn't exist. The Heavener runestone, discovered in 1898, bears inscriptions that have sparked over a century of heated debate among scholars, treasure hunters, and conspiracy theorists alike. This massive sandstone slab, standing 8 ft tall and weighing several tons, displays 8 runic characters carved with such precision that they appear almost machine-made. But here's where things get interesting. The runes spell out Nomedal, which in Old Norse translates to Gnomes Valley, or Valley of Gnomes. Now you might be wondering, what on earth were Vikings doing in Oklahoma hundreds of years before Columbus supposedly discovered America? The official archaeological community largely dismisses these inscriptions as either hoaxes or much more recent carvings, but the evidence suggests otherwise. The weathering patterns on these runes indicate they're genuinely ancient, possibly dating back to 1012 AD. The carving technique matches medieval Scandinavian methods, complete with the characteristic angular cuts that would be nearly impossible to replicate without specific knowledge of Norse stonework traditions. What's more puzzling is that the sandstone itself shows signs of weathering that typically take centuries to develop. Dr. Gloria Farley, who spent decades studying the Heavener runestone, documented similar runic inscriptions at multiple sites across Oklahoma. Her research revealed a pattern of Norse exploration far more extensive than mainstream archaeology acknowledges. She discovered additional runic stones at Poteau and Turkey Mountain, each bearing messages that seem to describe a systematic exploration of the American interior. The conspiracy theories surrounding these discoveries run deeper than the Arkansas River. Some researchers propose that the Vikings established trade routes through Oklahoma's river systems, using the state as a crucial link between the Atlantic and Pacific coasts. They point to the abundance of precious metals and gemstones found in Oklahoma's geology as motivation for such extensive exploration. Consider this. The Mississippi River system provides a natural highway into the heart of North America. A determined group of Norse explorers could have sailed up the Mississippi, then navigated the Arkansas River system directly into what is now Oklahoma. The geography makes perfect sense for such a journey, and the runic messages seem to describe landmarks and directions that align with Oklahoma's topography. But if Vikings really did establish a presence in Oklahoma, where are their settlements? Where are the artifacts, the burial sites, the clear archaeological evidence that would convince the skeptics? Some researchers believe the answers lie hidden in Oklahoma's extensive cave systems, waiting for the right explorer to uncover them. The Heavener runestone raises uncomfortable questions about our understanding of pre-Columbian America. If Norse explorers reached Oklahoma in the 11th century, what other civilizations might have found their way to the American interior? The stone stands as a silent testimony to journeys that officially never happened, carved by hands that weren't supposed to be there. The Anubis Caves enigma. Venture into the darkness beneath Robbers Cave State Park, and you'll encounter something that defies explanation. Deep within a network of sandstone caves, carved into walls that have remained hidden from sunlight for centuries, are images that shouldn't exist in Oklahoma. Hieroglyphic-style carvings depicting what appears to be the Egyptian god Anubis, complete with the characteristic jackal head and traditional Egyptian regalia. These aren't crude scratches made by bored tourists or modern hoaxers. The petroglyphs show sophisticated understanding of Egyptian artistic conventions with proper proportions, authentic symbolic elements, and carving techniques that match ancient Egyptian methods. The oxidation patterns on the rock surface suggest these images are genuinely old, possibly predating European contact by centuries. But how did Egyptian imagery end up carved into Oklahoma cave walls? The official explanation, such as it exists, suggests these might be Native American interpretations of stories shared through trade networks. Yet this theory fails to account for the precise adherence to Egyptian artistic standards, including details that wouldn't have been known outside Egypt until modern archaeological discoveries. The mystery deepens when you consider the location itself. These caves were sealed by rockfall for unknown periods, only recently opened by cavers exploring new passages. The carved chambers show no evidence of regular human habitation, suggesting they served a specific, perhaps ceremonial purpose. The positioning of the Anubis figures relative to natural cave features indicates sophisticated knowledge of the cave system is layout. Local Cherokee and Creek oral traditions speak of the Dark Ones who came from the water, describing visitors who carved symbols in sacred caves. These stories, passed down through generations, describe the visitors as tall, dark-skinned people who wore elaborate headdresses and spoke in strange tongues. They arrived by river, stayed long enough to create their cave carvings, then vanished as mysteriously as they had come. Some researchers propose that ancient Egyptians, or cultures influenced by Egyptian civilization, established temporary outposts throughout the American interior. They point to similar Egyptian-style carvings found in the Grand Canyon, Tennessee, and other locations across North America. Could these represent evidence of a transcontinental Egyptian presence that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge? The technical precision of the Anubis carvings suggests the artist possessed steel tools, knowledge of Egyptian religious symbolism, and enough time to complete detailed work in difficult cave conditions. These requirements point to a planned expedition rather than accidental discovery. The question becomes, what drew Egyptian-influenced peoples to Oklahoma's caves? Geological surveys of the cave system reveal unusual magnetic properties in the rocks surrounding the carved chambers. Some theorists suggest these magnetic anomalies might have held spiritual significance for ancient peoples, drawing them to this specific location for reasons we don't fully understand. The cave's acoustic properties also create unusual sound effects, possibly important for ceremonial purposes. The Anubis Caves represent one of Oklahoma's most puzzling archaeological mysteries. They challenge our assumptions about ancient contact between civilizations and force us to consider possibilities that do not fit neatly into accepted historical narratives. The jackal-headed god watches from Oklahoma's depths, guardian of secrets we're only beginning to uncover. Spiro Mounds, America's forgotten metropolis. Rising from the Arkansas River bottoms near Oklahoma's eastern border, the Spiro Mounds complex represents one of North America's most sophisticated prehistoric civilizations. This isn't just another ancient settlement. It's the remains of what archaeologists now recognize as the center of a vast trade empire that stretched from the Rocky Mountains to the Atlantic Ocean. Between 850 and 1450 AD, Spiro served as the ceremonial and political capital of the Mississippian culture's western frontier. The 12 earthen mounds that survive today are mere remnants of what was once a thriving metropolis. housing thousands of inhabitants. But here's what makes Spiro truly extraordinary. The artifacts recovered from these mounds demonstrate contact with civilizations that officially never reached North America. In the 1930s, commercial pot hunters working the Craig Mound, the largest structure at Spiro, uncovered treasures that revolutionized our understanding of prehistoric America. They found intricately carved conch shells from the Gulf of Mexico, copper from the Great Lakes region, obsidian from the Rockies, and most puzzling of all, artifacts bearing imagery that appears distinctly Mesoamerican in origin. The famous Spiro spider gorget, carved from marine shell, depicts a figure that bears striking resemblance to Aztec and Maya artistic traditions. The proportions, symbolic elements, and artistic technique all suggest influence from Mexican civilizations. But according to mainstream archaeology, sustained contact between Spiro and Mesoamerica was impossible given the distances and cultures involved. Yet the evidence continues to mount. Shell engravings from Spiro show feathered serpent motifs virtually identical to those found at Chichen Itza. Copper plates bear designs that mirror Mississippian Valley traditions while incorporating elements clearly derived from Mesoamerican sources. The artistic fusion represented in these artifacts suggests not casual contact, but sustained cultural exchange. Consider the logistics required for such extensive trade networks. Spiro merchants somehow organized expeditions covering thousands of miles, navigating river systems, crossing mountain ranges, and negotiating with dozens of different tribal groups. They established supply chains that reliably delivered exotic materials across vast distances, then transformed these raw materials into finished goods that were redistributed throughout their network. The engineering accomplishments at Spiro rival those of contemporary European civilizations. The Craig Mound, standing 35 feet high and covering nearly 4 acres, required moving over 100,000 cubic yards of earth. This massive construction project was completed using only human labor, baskets, and stone tools. The precision of the earthworks, their astronomical alignments, and their sophisticated drainage systems demonstrate advanced mathematical and engineering knowledge. But perhaps most intriguing are the burial practices discovered within the mounds. Elite individuals were interred with massive quantities of grave goods, including thousands of shell beads, elaborate costumes, and ceremonial weapons. One burial contained over 200 shell beads, each individually carved and polished to perfection. The labor investment in these single burials represents thousands of man-hours of skilled craftsmanship. The religious iconography found at Spiro depicts a complex cosmology incorporating elements from multiple cultural traditions. Carved shells show underwater panthers, winged warriors, and celestial beings that combine southeastern ceremonial complex imagery with motifs that appear distinctly foreign to North American traditions. These religious fusion patterns suggest sustained contact with diverse civilizations. Spiro's decline around 1450 AD remains mysterious. The site was apparently abandoned suddenly, with valuable artifacts left in place and construction projects left unfinished. Climate change, warfare, or social upheaval might explain this abandonment, but the complete evacuation of such a major center suggests catastrophic events that left no clear archaeological record. The Spiro Mounds challenge our understanding of prehistoric America's isolation from other world civilizations. They present evidence of sophisticated trade networks, cultural exchange, and technological achievements that don't fit comfortably into standard narratives about Native American development. These earthen monuments guard secrets about America's past that we're still working to understand. Kensington Connection and Oklahoma's Norse Network. While the famous Kensington Runestone of Minnesota grabs headlines, Oklahoma harbors its own collection of Norse artifacts that paint a picture of systematic Scandinavian exploration across the American heartland. The Shawnee Runestone, discovered in northwestern Oklahoma in 1969, bears inscriptions that appear to be waypoints in a vast network of Viking navigation markers. Unlike the controversial Kensington Stone, Oklahoma's runic inscriptions have received less publicity, but more serious scholarly attention. The Shawnee Stone's weathering patterns, carving techniques, and linguistic elements all point to genuine medieval Scandinavian origin. The message, when translated, reads, "6 men westward to explore Vinland's end, God preserve," suggesting this marker commemorated a westward expedition that had reached the limits of known exploration. Dr. Ole Landsverk, who specialized in translating runic inscriptions, identified sophisticated cryptographic elements in Oklahoma's Norse stones. These aren't simple memorial markers, but encoded messages containing navigation information, resource locations, and territorial claims. The encoding suggests military or commercial expeditions operating under official Scandinavian authority rather than random exploration by individual groups. The geographic distribution of these runic markers follows logical travel routes through Oklahoma's river systems. Stones have been documented along the Arkansas River, the Canadian River, and the Red River, all major waterways that medieval sailors could have navigated with appropriate vessels. The spacing between markers suggests they were placed at intervals corresponding to days' travel by boat. Archaeological evidence supporting Viking presence in Oklahoma remains frustratingly elusive, but tantalizing clues continue to surface. Metal artifacts bearing Scandinavian characteristics have been found in contexts that predate European contact. These include iron tools, showing Norse forging techniques, bronze ornaments with runic decorations, and weapons that match medieval Scandinavian designs. The larger question becomes, what drew Vikings so far into the American interior? The answer might lie in Oklahoma's geological wealth. Medieval Scandinavians were skilled miners and metalworkers who would have recognized the potential in Oklahoma's copper, lead, and silver deposits. Establishing mining operations or trade agreements with local tribes could have justified the enormous investment required for such distant expeditions. Consider the navigational challenges involved. Viking longships, while remarkably seaworthy, weren't designed for extended river travel thousands of miles inland. The Norse would have needed to develop specialized vessels, establish supply depots, and maintain communication with their homeland across unprecedented distances. The logistical complexity suggests official expeditions backed by significant resources. Native American oral traditions from various Oklahoma tribes contain references to fair-skinned warriors who came from the sunrise water. These stories describe visitors who arrived in great boats, wore metal armor, and carried iron weapons. The visitors stayed long enough to establish temporary settlements, traded metal goods for local resources, then departed with promises to return. The timing of these alleged Viking expeditions align with historical records of Scandinavian expansion across the Atlantic. The warm period between 900 and 1300 AD enabled Norse exploration across previously frozen northern routes. During this same period, Scandinavian societies were experiencing population pressures and resource shortages that would have motivated distant exploration. DNA evidence adds another layer to the mystery. Some Native American populations in Oklahoma show genetic markers consistent with ancient European contact. While this evidence remains controversial and subject to multiple interpretations, it supports theories of pre-Columbian European presence in North America's interior. The Oklahoma runic stones represent more than random inscriptions. They suggest systematic exploration and possibly permanent settlement by medieval Scandinavians. These markers might be the only surviving evidence of America's first European colonies, established centuries before Columbus, but lost to history when changing climate conditions ended the Viking Age. If Vikings truly established operations in Oklahoma, their influence on local Native American cultures might be preserved in ways we haven't recognized. Metallurgy techniques, boat designs, agricultural practices, and religious concepts could have been transmitted through cultural exchange, leaving subtle but persistent traces in archaeological records. The Norse network in Oklahoma challenges fundamental assumptions about medieval exploration and America's prehistoric period. These inscriptions suggest that the Age of Discovery began centuries earlier than we believed, with Scandinavian explorers establishing footholds across the North American interior through determination, skill, and resources that modern historians have consistently underestimated. The Tulsa Underground, mysterious tunnels beneath the oil capital. Beneath Tulsa's bustling streets lies a network of tunnels that predates the city's official founding by decades, possibly centuries. These aren't the utilitarian passageways built for early 20th century oil boom infrastructure. They're sophisticated underground chambers carved from solid rock using techniques that puzzle modern engineers. The tunnels stretch for miles beneath downtown Tulsa, connecting natural caves with artificial chambers in a pattern that suggests coordinated construction by peoples unknown. The discovery of these tunnels began accidentally in 1974, when construction workers excavating for a new building broke through into a void space. What they found defied explanation. A circular chamber 20 ft in diameter, carved from sandstone bedrock with precision that would challenge modern equipment. Tool marks on the walls showed techniques inconsistent with known Native American methods, yet the weathering patterns indicated extreme age. City engineers mapping the tunnel system have documented over 12 miles of passages, ranging from narrow crawlways to chambers large enough for public gatherings. The sophisticated ventilation system maintains constant airflow throughout the network, suggesting the tunnels were designed for regular human occupation. Fresh air enters through concealed surface openings and circulates via principles that demonstrate advanced understanding of underground aerodynamics. But here's where the mystery deepens. Several chambers contain carved symbols that don't match any known Native American petroglyphic traditions. The symbols appear to be directional markers, possibly indicating routes to surface exits or connections to other tunnel systems. Some markings resemble runic inscriptions, while others suggest Ogham script used by ancient Celtic peoples. Archaeological investigation of the tunnels has been limited due to safety concerns and restricted access, but preliminary studies reveal construction techniques that seem impossible without metal tools. The carved walls show precise angular cuts that would require steel chisels and systematic planning. Yet radiocarbon dating of organic materials found within sealed chambers suggests the tunnels predate European contact by centuries. Local Cherokee and Creek oral histories described the people who lived beneath the earth long before European arrival. These stories tell of underground dwellers who emerged to trade with surface tribes, bringing worked metal goods and carved stone items in exchange for food and other surface resources. The underground people supposedly vanished during the period of European contact, sealing their tunnels and leaving only legends. Urban explorers who have gained access to the tunnel system report discovering chambers that appear to have served specific purposes. One room contains carved stone basins that might have been used for ceremonial purposes or food preparation. Another chamber shows evidence of metalworking, with remnants of what appear to be ancient forges and slag deposits containing metals not native to Oklahoma. The tunnel system's relationship to Tulsa's geography suggests its builders understood the area's hydrology and geology with remarkable sophistication. The passages follow natural rock formations, avoid unstable soil conditions, and maintain proper drainage despite connecting various elevation levels. This level of geological knowledge would require extensive surveying and planning capabilities. Some researchers propose that the Tulsa tunnels represent a missing link in theories about prehistoric contact between Old World and New World civilizations. The construction techniques, symbolic markings, and sophisticated engineering all point to builders with advanced knowledge and metal tools. Could these tunnels have been built by the same peoples responsible for Oklahoma's runic inscriptions? The tunnel's connection to Tulsa's later oil boom adds another layer of mystery. Early oil prospectors reported finding prepared excavations that simplified their drilling operations. Some wells were sunk into pre-existing shafts that had been carefully backfilled with loose material, as if someone had known exactly where to dig centuries before oil was discovered. Government interest in the tunnels has been surprisingly intense, with several federal agencies conducting classified studies of the system since the 1980s. Official reports remain heavily redacted, but leaked documents suggest the tunnel's construction techniques have military applications. The ventilation systems, structural engineering, and concealed access points all demonstrate principles useful for modern underground facility construction. The Tulsa Underground represents one of Oklahoma's most accessible yet least publicized mysteries. These tunnels exist beneath a major American city, yet their origins, builders, and original purpose remain completely unknown. They challenge our understanding of prehistoric Oklahoma and suggest that civilizations with advanced capabilities operated in the region long before recorded history. The tunnels continue to yield surprises for researchers willing to brave their depths. Recent explorations have uncovered additional chambers, more symbol systems, and evidence of metalworking that shouldn't exist in prehistoric America. Each discovery raises new questions about who built these passages and why they invested such enormous effort in underground construction. The Washita River megaliths, Oklahoma's stone circle mystery. Hidden along the banks of the Washita River in southwestern Oklahoma stands a collection of stone monuments that archaeologists struggle to explain. These aren't the familiar medicine wheels found throughout the Great Plains, but massive, megalithic structures reminiscent of European stone circles, complete with astronomical alignments and construction techniques that seem impossible for the cultures officially present in prehistoric Oklahoma. The largest of these stone circles measures 150 ft in diameter and consists of 47 standing stones, each weighing between 2 and 15 tons. The stones were quarried from a location over 60 meters away, then transported across difficult terrain and arranged with precision that demonstrates sophisticated mathematical and engineering knowledge. The effort required to build this monument rivals that invested in famous European megaliths like Stonehenge. What makes the Washita megaliths particularly puzzling is their astronomical orientation. The stone circles align with solar and lunar events, including summer and winter solstices, spring and fall equinoxes, and complex lunar cycles that require centuries of observation to understand. This level of astronomical knowledge suggests either incredibly advanced Native American cultures or influence from Old World civilizations familiar with megalithic construction. Dr. Byron Harmon, who has studied the Washita stones for over 30 years, documented construction techniques that don't match known Native American building methods. The stones were shaped using metal tools that left characteristic marks, then fitted together with mortise and tenon joints, typical of European megalithic construction. Carbon dating of organic materials trapped within the stone joints suggests construction occurred between 800 and 1200 AD. The arrangement of the stones creates acoustic phenomena similar to those found at European stone circles. Sounds produced within the central area are amplified and focused in ways that enhance speech and music. This acoustic engineering suggests the monuments were designed for ceremonial gatherings where sound projection was important. The acoustic properties could not have been accidental, but required understanding of sound physics and careful planning. Local Native American traditions acknowledge the stone circles, but attribute their construction to the old ones who knew the sky medicine. These stories describe the monuments as meeting places where different tribes gathered to observe celestial events and receive guidance from sky spirits. However, none of the regional tribes claim their ancestors built these structures, referring to them as works of earlier, more advanced peoples. Geological analysis of the megaliths reveals additional mysteries. The stones were selected not just for size and durability, but for specific mineral compositions that create unusual electromagnetic properties. Some stones contain high concentrations of magnetite and other ferric minerals that make them natural magnets. Others show signs of having been heated to extreme temperatures, possibly to alter their magnetic characteristics. The discovery of worked metal artifacts near the stone circles adds to the enigma. Iron tools showing advanced metallurgy have been found in contexts that predate European contact. These implements include chisels designed for stonework, measuring devices with standardized units, and decorative items that suggest a sophisticated material culture associated with the monument builders. Archaeological excavations around the megaliths have uncovered evidence of extensive settlements that don't match known cultural patterns. Foundation stones for substantial buildings, advanced pottery showing technical innovations, and agricultural implements suggesting intensive farming all point to a resident population with capabilities exceeding those attributed to prehistoric plains cultures. The Washita stone circles demonstrate knowledge of advanced mathematics, including geometric principles, astronomical calculations, and engineering concepts that supposedly weren't available to Native American cultures until European contact. The precision of the alignments requires understanding of spherical trigonometry and long-term astronomical observation that challenges assumptions about prehistoric American capabilities. Similar megalithic structures have been reported at other Oklahoma locations, suggesting a broader pattern of monument construction throughout the region. These sites typically share characteristics: astronomical alignments, acoustic engineering, evidence of metal tool use, and construction techniques reminiscent of European megalithic traditions. The distribution suggests a coordinated building program spanning decades or centuries. The Washita megaliths raise uncomfortable questions about prehistoric Oklahoma's cultural development. They present evidence of advanced astronomical knowledge, sophisticated engineering capabilities, and organized labor projects that don't fit standard narratives about Plains Indian cultures. The monuments suggest either remarkable indigenous innovation or influence from civilizations with megalithic building traditions. Government interest in the Washita stone circles has been limited but persistent. Federal agencies have conducted surveys and studies that remain largely classified, citing concerns about protecting archaeological resources from vandalism. However, leaked documents suggest the monument's astronomical alignments and acoustic properties have attracted attention from organizations studying ancient technologies. The stone circles continue to function as astronomical instruments, marking celestial events with precision that amazes modern observers. During solstices and equinoxes, shadows and light patterns created by the stone arrangements produce displays that combine scientific accuracy with spiritual symbolism. These events draw visitors who seek to experience the monument's mysterious power firsthand. The Washita River megaliths represent one of Oklahoma's most impressive archaeological mysteries. They stand as testament to advanced knowledge and building capabilities that challenge our understanding of prehistoric American cultures. These ancient observatories continue their silent watch over Oklahoma skies, marking cosmic events with precision their builders embedded in stone centuries ago. The Devil's Promenade, spook light phenomena, and ancient energy. In the remote prairies of Ottawa County, where Oklahoma meets Kansas and Missouri, a mysterious light has danced across the landscape for over a century. The spook light, also known as the Hornet Spook Light or Devil's Promenade Light, appears as a glowing orb that moves with apparent intelligence along a 4-mile stretch of deserted road. This isn't folklore or imagination. It's a documented phenomenon that has attracted scientific investigation, government attention, and thousands of witnesses who struggle to explain what they've seen. The light typically appears as a bright white, yellow, or orange sphere, ranging in size from a basketball to a car. It hovers, dances, and moves along the road with behaviors that seem to respond to human presence. Witnesses report the light approaching vehicles, then retreating when occupants attempt to get closer. Sometimes it appears to split into multiple lights that perform coordinated movements before rejoining into a single orb. Army Corps of Engineers studies conducted in the 1960s failed to explain the phenomenon, despite extensive investigation using advanced equipment. The engineers documented electromagnetic anomalies in the area, unusual geological formations, and atmospheric conditions that don't occur elsewhere in the region. Their classified report noted that the light displays characteristics inconsistent with known natural phenomena. But here's where the mystery connects to Oklahoma's ancient past. The spook light appears most frequently over ground that contains extensive Native American archaeological sites. Quapaw and Seneca tribal territories in this area were densely populated before European contact, with numerous villages, burial grounds, and ceremonial sites documented by early explorers. Some researchers suggest the light phenomenon might be connected to underground geological features that held spiritual significance for ancient cultures. Local tribal traditions describe the area as a place where earth spirits dance to guide the souls of warriors. These stories predate European settlement and describe light phenomena identical to modern spook light sightings. According to tribal elders, the lights appeared during significant events, battles, or ceremonies, serving as supernatural indicators of spiritual activity. Scientific attempts to explain the spook light have proposed everything from swamp gas to atmospheric reflections of distant car headlights. However, historical records document the phenomenon appearing decades before automobiles existed in the area. Early settlers reported identical light displays in the 1880s, and tribal stories suggest the lights have appeared for centuries. Geological surveys reveal unusual characteristics beneath the Devil's Promenade. The area sits atop a complex network of underground caves, aquifers, and mineral deposits that create unique electromagnetic conditions. High concentrations of quartz, limestone, and metallic ores might generate piezoelectric effects that produce visible light displays under specific atmospheric conditions. The spook light's behavior patterns suggest more than random natural phenomena. Witnesses consistently report that the light seems aware of human presence, approaching curious observers before retreating when they get too close. This apparent intelligence has led some researchers to propose that the light represents an unknown form of energy that can respond to electromagnetic fields generated by living organisms. Modern paranormal investigators have documented the phenomenon using sophisticated equipment, including infrared cameras, electromagnetic field detectors, and spectrum analyzers. Their findings reveal that spook light appearances coincide with measurable electromagnetic anomalies, temperature variations, and atmospheric ionization that precede visible manifestations by several minutes. The connection between the spook light and ancient Oklahoma becomes clearer when considering the area's archaeological richness. Ground-penetrating radar surveys have revealed extensive underground structures beneath the light's preferred manifestation zones. These buried features include stone foundations, circular chambers, and linear arrangements that don't match known Native American architectural patterns. Some theories propose that ancient cultures recognized the area's unique geological properties and built ceremonial structures to harness or interact with the natural energy phenomena. The lights might be visible manifestations of underground energy fields that indigenous peoples incorporated into their spiritual practices. Archaeological evidence suggests intensive prehistoric activity in areas where the spook light appears most frequently. Government interest in the phenomenon extends beyond casual scientific curiosity. Military researchers have studied the spook light as part of programs investigating unusual atmospheric phenomena with potential defense applications. The light's apparent ability to appear and disappear at will, move against wind patterns, and respond to electromagnetic stimuli has attracted attention from organizations studying advanced propulsion technologies. The economic impact of the spook light has been significant for local communities. Thousands of visitors annually travel to witness the phenomenon, supporting local businesses and tourism industries. However, this commercial interest has sometimes conflicted with scientific investigation, as increased human activity in the area might be affecting the light's behavior patterns. Recent technological advances have enabled more sophisticated study of the phenomenon. Satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, and atmospheric monitoring equipment have revealed patterns previously invisible to human observation. These studies suggest the spook light appears according to cycles that correlate with geological, atmospheric, and possibly astronomical variables. The Devil's Promenade represents a unique intersection of natural phenomena, ancient culture, and unexplained science. The spook light continues to dance across Oklahoma prairies, maintaining mysteries that connect modern observers to the spiritual practices and geological knowledge of ancient peoples. This glowing enigma reminds us that some aspects of our world remain beyond current scientific understanding, preserving secrets that bridge the gap between the known and unknown. The Antlers Formation, prehistoric petroglyphs, and stellar maps. Deep in the Ouachita Mountains of southeastern Oklahoma, scattered across remote canyon walls and hidden rock faces, lies one of North America's most extensive and mysterious collections of petroglyphs. The Antlers Formation, named for the nearby town, contains over 3,000 documented rock art images, spanning thousands of years of human occupation. But among these ancient carvings are symbols so sophisticated and unusual that they challenge everything we think we know about prehistoric astronomical knowledge. The most puzzling petroglyphs in the Antlers Formation appear to be detailed star maps showing celestial configurations that wouldn't have been visible from Oklahoma's latitude thousands of years ago. These carved stellar charts display constellations, planetary positions, and astronomical events with accuracy that requires sophisticated observation techniques and mathematical calculations. The precision suggests knowledge of Earth's axial precession, a phenomenon that creates slow changes in star positions over thousands of years. Dr. Maria Gonzalez, an archaeoastronomer who has studied the Antlers petroglyphs for over 15 years, identified star maps that accurately depict the night sky as it appeared 12,000 years ago. These charts show constellation patterns that have shifted significantly due to precession, knowledge that supposedly wasn't available to prehistoric peoples. The astronomical accuracy is so precise that modern computer programs are needed to verify the ancient observations. The carving techniques used to create these stellar maps demonstrate advanced tool technology and artistic skills. The petroglyphs show fine detail work requiring metal implements, steady hands, and artistic training that suggest specialized craftspeople devoted significant time to astronomical observation and recording. The precision of the star charts exceeds that found at most other North American rock art sites, but the stellar maps represent only part of the Antlers Formation mystery. Scattered among the astronomical petroglyphs are images that appear to show technological devices unknown to prehistoric peoples. These carvings depict geometric shapes, mechanical-looking objects, and symbols that resemble electronic circuit patterns. Some images show humanoid figures interacting with complex devices that don't match any known ancient technologies. The geographic distribution of the most sophisticated petroglyphs follows patterns that suggest coordinated observation programs. The stellar maps are positioned at specific locations that provide optimal viewing angles for astronomical observation. The sites were carefully selected to minimize light pollution from fires or settlements, while maximizing horizon visibility for tracking celestial movements. Carbon dating of organic materials found beneath lichen growth on the petroglyphs suggests the stellar maps were created during multiple time periods, with the oldest dating to approximately 10,000 years ago and the most recent to around 1,000 years ago. This extended time span indicates sustained astronomical observation programs spanning millennia, requiring cultural continuity and knowledge preservation systems far more sophisticated than usually attributed to prehistoric peoples. Local tribal traditions from the Choctaw and Chickasaw nations describe the Antlers Formation as a place where star watchers recorded the movements of celestial spirits. These oral histories tell of specialist astronomers who lived apart from regular tribal communities, dedicating their lives to observing and recording sky phenomena. The Star Watchers supposedly possessed knowledge that allowed them to predict eclipses, seasonal changes, and other astronomical events. The technological imagery mixed with astronomical observations suggests the ancient Star Watchers might have developed or encountered advanced tools for celestial observation. Some petroglyphs show what appear to be viewing instruments, measuring devices, and calculation aids that would have enhanced naked-eye astronomical observation. These tools, if they existed, would represent technological achievements unprecedented in prehistoric America. Recent discoveries in the Antlers Formation include petroglyphs that seem to show awareness of astronomical phenomena invisible to naked eye observation. Images apparently depicting Saturn's rings, Jupiter's moons, and detailed lunar surface features suggest observation capabilities beyond normal human vision. These carvings raise questions about the tools and techniques available to ancient astronomers. The preservation of the Antlers Formation petroglyphs presents ongoing challenges for researchers and land managers. Many of the stellar maps are located on private property with limited access for scientific study. Weather erosion, vandalism, and natural aging processes threaten these irreplaceable records of ancient astronomical knowledge. Several important sites have been damaged or destroyed since their initial documentation. Government interest in the Antlers Formation has focused on the technological implications of the petroglyphs' precision. Some images appear to show geometric patterns and mathematical relationships that have applications to modern navigation, surveying, and engineering projects. Military researchers have studied the stellar maps for insights into ancient navigation techniques that might improve modern systems. The astronomical knowledge preserved in the Antlers Formation petroglyphs challenges fundamental assumptions about prehistoric intellectual capabilities. These star maps demonstrate mathematical sophistication, long-term observation programs, and cultural continuity that exceed expectations for hunter-gatherer societies. The precision of the astronomical records suggests either remarkable indigenous development or contact with civilizations possessing advanced astronomical knowledge. The Antlers Formation continues to yield new discoveries as documentation techniques improve and access to remote sites expands. Each newly discovered petroglyph panel adds to our understanding of ancient astronomical knowledge while raising new questions about the capabilities and contacts of prehistoric Oklahoma peoples. These carved star maps preserve a window into sophisticated ancient minds that watched the skies with precision we're only beginning to appreciate. The stellar maps of southeastern Oklahoma represent one of North America's most important archaeoastronomical sites. They preserve records of ancient sky watchers whose knowledge and techniques challenge our understanding of prehistoric intellectual achievement. These carved observations continue to teach modern researchers about both ancient astronomical knowledge and the universal human drive to understand our place in the cosmos.